I was about 4 or 5 years old and my parents had just separated. My mom was living in a 2-bedroom apartment. I had my own room, but I preferred to sleep in her bed whenever I was staying with her. Our 2 bedrooms were at the end of a hallway, directly across from each other. Our apartment was on the first floor, and I remember that it was in the middle of the summer and my mom had a window open in her room, which was directly behind the bed, above the headboard. Anyways, I woke up in the middle of the night and remember sitting up and seeing that our cat was sitting in the doorframe of my mom's room. Her door was open and you could partially see into my bedroom. This was strange because our cat was typically always in bed with us. As I was watching, he walked into my bedroom and meowed. I turned to face my mom and wake her up. In the 3 or 4 seconds it took her to wake up and ask me what was wrong, we both looked back up in the doorframe. There was a man standing by my open door, making his way out of my bedroom. I still don't know how she managed to do it so quickly, but my mother proceeded to pick me up and literally throw me out of the screen window. Again, we were on the first floor and it was maybe a 3-foot drop to the ground. She quickly followed and we were able to start screaming for help and someone called 911. The police came but didn't see any signs of forced entry. Only that our front door was unlocked, which led them to believe the man must have exited that way. The strange thing was that my mom swore up and down that she had locked the door that night with the deadbolt and chain lock. About a week later, she was cleaning the kitchen and opened up our water heater closet and found a notebook with names and drawings, as well as a pair of gloves and some gum wrappers. The police were called again, but all they could do was speculate that the man had been in our house and hid until we were asleep. When I was 4, we were broken into twice. The first time, my grandfather and mum had been grocery shopping. We arrived home and unlocked the front door, and one of the bedroom doors up the passageway slammed shut from the change in air pressure. My grandfather must have sensed something was up and ran up the passageway to the bathroom. Window was open, curtains swinging in the breeze, and nobody to be found. They figured he mustn't have been there long before they arrived home, as nothing in the house was touched or taken. The second time was 3 months later. My mum woke up to someone sitting on the bed with a knife in his hand at 3 a.m. Mum says she froze, couldn't talk, couldn't move, completely petrified. She said he was mumbling, but she couldn't make out what he was saying. The next door neighbour's dog barked and he just stood up and walked out. She heard the back sliding door open, and a minute or so later the line of light shining through the curtains from the streetlight was blanked out. She grabbed the phone and called my grandfather. All she said was there was someone in the house. He lived about 5 minutes away with her 3 younger teenage brothers. In less than 5 minutes, they pulled into the driveway and scattered to surround the house, all barefoot, wearing only their underwear. Every single door was unlocked and the back door was open. Nobody to be seen. Mum was a mess. There were big, muddy footprints in the laundry under the little window she left open for the cat. It took a few days for all the weird things this creep had done to be discovered. He had shredded a black negligee that was in the laundry basket, fed the cat and poured her a bowl of milk, poured a whiskey out of the decanter in the living room and added ice and coke to it, somehow had injected solder into the eggs in the fridge, ate the leftover roast meat out of the fridge, cut up some catalogue that was sitting on the bench, took a photo of the stovetop and another one of me sleeping on Mum's camera, and left it sitting next to my bed. Tipped salt into Mum's shoes. The knife was out of Mum's block in the kitchen and they never found it. Just some really weird shit. The cops came, got plenty of fingerprints, but whoever it was didn't have a record. The consensus eventually, a couple of years later, was that it was an acquaintance of one of her brothers. It was a bit of a Chinese whispers conclusion though. He'd said X and Y to person A, who told person B, etc, and it got back to Mum's brother. He was eventually locked up on some sort of psychiatric hold for something unrelated, and was never charged with the break-in. Messed my mum up for a lot of years. I go and walk my dog around my house pretty late at night, 12 AM to 1 AM. Maybe not the safest thing, but I live in the woods and away from people. Anyways, I start walking downstairs and notice my sister's door is open and the light is on. It struck me as odd considering she moved out 6 years ago and nobody ever goes in there. I walk in to turn the light off and close the door, and I see a man trying to hide behind the closet door. It's broken, filled with boxes, so there was no real way he could hide from me. I act like I didn't see him, and I went and grabbed my shotgun from in the other room. Went back in and told him not to move, or I'd fucking kill him. He jumped out from the closet and took off running as fast as he could right past me, into the garage and out into the woods. I could have shot him, but I didn't. I saw his face. A few days earlier, he knocked on my door claiming to know my neighbour and said he was looking for copper to sell. Asked if I knew or had any old copper he could have. I gave him a few old car batteries, and that was that. He said he had 2 daughters he was trying to take care of. I didn't call the cops, but that's the extent of my mercy. If he came back the next night, he was dead.